Sudden loss of consciousness. Where did I go? Hi, my name is Makala. I have been an experiencer contactee since 1990. I have over 3 decades of experience with ETs and non-human intelligences, which has given me numerous subjects to learn and master: meditation, metacognitive communication, and energy healing. I have learned a lot, particularly about energetics related to human physiology and consciousness. A subscriber commented and asked me a question. I live in Sweden, so I missed the Zoom meeting as it was in the night for me. I have an important private question and hope to get an answer to it. My brain acts strange in my body, and my doctor did an x-ray but didn't see anything wrong. I told him that I lost consciousness suddenly, sometimes without any warning. The first time I had a problem with it was when I was walking near a bus and fell on the street, and a car drove over me. It was in 2018. The x-ray I had in May 2024 tells me it can be without space to do, as I have had contact with aliens my whole life, and I was born in 1952. Once in the 90s, I woke up in the night and saw aliens had opened up my skull and were working in my brain. Maybe this is the problem I have today from that time. I am lightly disabled today in my body, but can't get help as my doctor does not know what it is that disturbs my body. And I know it started to go down for me in 2005 after coming back from the USA, where I was homeless with no money for 3.5 years. I was close to being killed many times, but I learned to call for help outside Earth. I came back totally tired from what had happened. Hope to get any serious answers. Thank you. I can relate to your past life experiences. I also experienced sudden loss of consciousness without warning. I have had similar situations many times, and it was devastating. I am fortunate not to have been run over by a car or severely injured during these episodes. I can share my own experiences with you. One example, not related to high density, involves clairsentience and empathic ability. I was at a counseling session in the clinic when I suddenly became disoriented, unable to speak, and lost my balance. I knew what was happening, but my body and brain didn't. Nurses found me, and triage told me I might have had a pre-stroke, so I was taken to the emergency room. They tested me, including an MRI and a brain scan. I ended up staying in the hospital overnight as a precaution. The next day, the doctor reviewed the results and told me there was no evidence of a pre-stroke, but she did note that my brain size was slightly smaller than average for some reason. About 6 months later, I experienced a similar episode while hiking on a trail near my house. I panicked because I was outdoors and alone. If I fell and lost consciousness or had a stroke, my chances of survival might be slim. I managed to reach the store ahead, and the strange pre-stroke-like disorientation and imbalance slowly disappeared. A week later, my mother called to tell me my older brother had a stroke while mountain hiking with others. He was transported by helicopter to an emergency hospital, but it was too late. He was already in a vegetative state, and my mom had to unplug him, so he passed away. It seems that my pre-stroke-like experience coincided with his stroke event. My mother also told me he had a pre-stroke 6 months earlier, which he ignored, leading to the main event. Somehow I had a strange psychic connection with my brother. Whenever something significant happened to him, I had dreams or premonitions about it. My empathic ability is beyond ordinary. I have had countless experiences like this related to other individuals, whether relatives, friends, clients, or even strangers. These kinds of experiences are related to my empathic abilities. Sometimes I have no control over them. Another example is when I turned 49 and began experiencing the male version of menopause. This happened because the hippocampus in my brain was undergoing a stage of neurogenesis. It deteriorates around age 50 and then regenerates. During this neurogenesis stage, people experience ups and downs, like riding a roller coaster, for many years. Since I was in this neurogenesis stage, I have experienced a sudden fade of consciousness many times. One such incident occurred while I was watching a movie alone in a theater. I panicked, unable to breathe normally, disoriented, and barely able to walk straight. I did not want to lose consciousness in the dark theater. I left the theater and almost collapsed in the street. I called an Uber and rushed to the emergency room. This happened many times. I think these experiences are related to neurogenesis. Other examples involve high volumes of energetic density and densified consciousness infusion, download, or embodiment. My consciousness tends to fade or go somewhere suddenly, particularly when high density energy and frequencies pour into me until I get accustomed to it. For instance, when I attended Bashar's public channeling session in 1990 or 1991, channeled by Ayako Sekino, whom we called Ayako Bashar, I lost consciousness continuously. I think I lost it without noticing. I was there listening, but not fully present. I lost consciousness and came back repeatedly throughout the session. Similarly, I tend to lose consciousness while meditating at the beginning stages of awakening. In, in 1991, I went to Peru and Machu Picchu, and then to Egypt in 1992. On the first day in Egypt, we had an introduction session where all tour participants gathered in a vast ballroom and introduced themselves one by one on stage. Amidst this, I suddenly noticed the vibe of the entire room change, and then paranormal phenomena began. I started to see a woman in her late 50s, whose face began to change like a slideshow, revealing many past faces to my naked eye. I looked around and saw that many people nearby had lost consciousness. Then I clearly saw 3 ET, beings with my naked eye behind the seats of the tour conductor, interpreter, and tour leader. They had ET uniforms, big heads, big almond-shaped black eyes, tiny noses and mouths, and grayish skin. One of them looked directly at me, and then they vanished into thin air. I was already accustomed to ET vibes at that time, so I did not lose consciousness like the people near me, but many fell asleep, temporarily losing consciousness, probably without realizing it. Recently, I conducted a workshop and found that most participants lost consciousness quickly. Some were completely gone and came back when the workshop finished, not remembering anything. Others were in a strange zone, aware but unable to hear anything, with time passing differently. An hour felt like a few minutes. In this context, if a high volume of densified energy suddenly emerges, people whose conscious density averages around 3.5 tend to lose consciousness instantly. However, as their consciousness grows toward higher density, they can gradually sustain it longer. These experiences are related to high density rates beyond the average 3.5 density. When a massive volume of high density energy, information, consciousness, memories pours into the whole consciousness, the material body automatically puts the consciousness down. During this time, the body and energetics adjust to the information, high density energy, and memories, deconstructing, reconstructing, and integrating the energetic download or infusion. It is similar to how the brain organizes and prioritizes information during sleep. Being self-aware of being an experiencer, like communicating with ETs to call for help outside Earth, is a good idea. I always ask them for help. If I didn't ask them, they might think I wanted to handle it alone. I have almost died many times for various reasons, but I am still alive and here. They have helped and saved me, allowing my life to move forward. My longtime friends who have known me for the past 20 years often say they have no idea how I survived and continue living. Invisible teams of doctors or scientists in their realms work with me. Since I recognize these strange dynamics, I always ask them for help. Being an experiencer is not easy. It is very challenging. I hope your team can help you rebuild your life toward a tremendous, happy, and loving life.